when you are trying to get to the next level and you can see where you're trying to get to, there is a ceiling that you have to break through. But in order to get to the next level is because you can see what you want to become. But the only reason you can see the next level is because this ceiling is made of glass. In order to get to the next level, you must be willing to break through the glass. Anytime you break through glass, you are going to get cut. You are going to bleed. And in order to get to the next level, you are going to have to give up something that you care about. You cannot take everything with you. Everybody come with you can't go with you. See, all your friends, they can't go to the next level because they'll get up there with you, and the way they behave, they'll mess it up for you. So when you go through the glass ceiling, you have to be willing to get cut. The cut is going to put some bruises and blood. But that's the only way to get to the next level. I understood that. I knew that I could not remain the same and change. You got to grow. You can't hang out with everybody you've been hanging out with to go to the next level. You can't do everything you used to do. If you do that, you'll never grow.
Often, we're trying to get our worth out of what we do, how well we perform. Am I a good enough mother? Am I talented enough, strong enough, successful enough? We think if we work harder, outperform our coworker, outdress our friend, outdrive our neighbor, then we'll feel good about ourselves. We live in this proving mode with this need to impress. The problem is we're getting our value from the wrong place. If you don't know who you are, a child of the Most High God, then you'll spend your energy trying to get other people to validate you. But when you're secure in who God made you to be, when you're comfortable with your gifts, you're content with your looks, you're happy with your personality, then you don't go around competing with others, jealous of a friend that's more talented, living to impress that cousin that's more attractive. You know you're one of a kind, a masterpiece made in the image of God. When you know who you are, you won't live in this proving mode, trying to impress people, getting your value out of what they think. Do they accept me? Do they compliment me? Do they approve me? If not, let me work harder. Let me prove to them that I'm good enough. No, you don't need their applause. Them validating you is not going to move you towards your destiny. Them cheering you on is nice, but if you're getting your worth out of that, if they quit doing it, then you'll feel devalued, not good enough. You'll have to work harder, do more to impress them. It's a treadmill. You're doing all this work, but not going anywhere. Take the pressure off. You have nothing to prove. Your destiny is not contingent on them liking you. Their approval is not keeping you from your purpose. It's a distraction. You're spending time and energy trying to impress, outperform, to show them that you're good enough, when in fact, you're already good enough. You've already been approved. God created you in His own image. Now run your race. They may be more talented. Celebrate them. You're not competing with them. You don't have to prove to them that you're talented too. You have gifts that they don't have. Be confident in who God made you to be. Don't get your value from people, get your value from God. Anytime we're trying to prove something, the root cause is insecurity. Your value should come from who you are and not what you do and not what you have. If not, there will always be a voice saying, you don't measure up. You need to be stronger, skinnier, taller, wealthier, more talented, a better mother. It's very freeing when you understand you have nothing to prove. You don't have to prove to others that you're good enough. That neighbor that's a super mom, she does everything for her children. After school, they do arts and crafts, then Little League, then ballet, then singing lessons, then pilot lessons, then Algebra 3. They do field trips on the weekends. She makes all their clothes. On Fridays, they learn Chinese. You don't have to keep up with her to prove that you're a good mother too. She may have been graced for that. She's walking in her anointing, her calling, her gifting. Feel sorry for her kids, but you're not competing with her. If you go into a proving mode, trying to outperform, feeling less than because you're not like her, all that's going to do is wear you out and take your joy. You're trying to prove something that you don't have to prove. You've entered a race that you're not competing in. Walk in your anointing. You don't have to keep up with other people. If you're getting your value on how you measure up to your peers, am I as talented as my coworker? Am I as successful as my cousin? Then you'll live in a proving mode, working harder, trying to impress. That's a never-ending cycle. Get off that treadmill. You have nothing to prove. You don't have to be better than your neighbor, more talented than your friend, skinnier than your cousin. That's not your race. You're not competing with them. You're competing with yourself. Be the best you that you can be. I've seen ladies that are naturally a size 14. You can meet someone that's naturally a size 6. It's not necessarily about discipline, diet, willpower. It's about genetics. It's about who God made you to be. If you're competing in a race you're not supposed to be in, you're going to live frustrated. You could not eat for 3 years and still not be a size 6. Why are you competing in a race that was never designed for you? What are you trying to prove? That if you get small enough, strong enough, successful enough, then you can feel good about yourself? Get out of that race. You can feel good about who you are right now. You are in a class all by yourself. When God made you, He threw away the mold. He stepped back and said, that was good, another masterpiece. He put His DNA in you. Who said you don't look good? Who said you're not talented enough? Who said you needed to be taller, more creative, have a better personality? Don't believe those lies. Quit comparing, quit competing, and run your race. If God is pleased with you, it doesn't really matter what other people think about you. They may not be for you. They may try to discredit you, withhold their approval. Big deal. They didn't breathe life into you. They didn't know you before you were formed in your mother's womb. They didn't call you, equip you, anoint you. Why are you trying to prove to people who you are when God has already said He is well pleased with you? Why are you spending time and energy trying to impress that neighbor? Prove to that person that walked away that you really are okay. Prove to that coworker that you are talented. You don't have anything to prove. They don't control your destiny. They can't stop what God has purposed for your life. Get your eyes off of people, off of your faults, off of how you think you don't measure up. You are approved. You are accepted. You are anointed. Now step into your destiny. Years ago, my father wanted to build a new sanctuary. We were in an auditorium that held 1,000 people. The church was growing and we needed a larger place to meet. For several years, he had been making plans, saving the funds, but he just couldn't get it going. 4 or 5 of his pastor friends, men that were much younger than him, were building these large sanctuaries. When my father would hear about it, he'd get all fired up and tried to make it happen. In the back of his mind, he thought, I can't let them outdo me. I'm getting older. It looks like I'm falling behind. There was this underlying pressure to try to compete, to keep up, to prove that he was successful, prove that he wasn't too old. He was tempted to give into it, but he recognized that wasn't his race. He wasn't competing with them. He didn't have to keep up. He passed the test. Several years later, everything fell into place and he built a beautiful new debt-free sanctuary. It's important to keep the right motives. Why do you want to accomplish the dream? Why do you want the bigger house? Why do you want the promotion? If your motives are pure, to fulfill your destiny, to help more people, to accomplish your assignment, then God will bless it. But if it's to keep up with my neighbors, not look bad in front of my family, impress the people under me, it's going to be a struggle. God's favor is not to build our ego, it's to build the kingdom. When David went out to face Goliath, his brothers made fun of him. His father didn't think he had what it takes. King Saul thought he was too small. David had all these people that didn't believe in him, but he didn't go out to prove to them who he was, prove that he wasn't too small, prove that he was anointed. It wasn't about proving, it was about fulfilling his purpose. He saw Goliath as someone standing in the way of the Israelites, a giant defying the armies of the living God. If David had gone out just to prove to people, to show them who he was, to feed his ego, he wouldn't have seen God's favor. His motives were to advance the kingdom. He wasn't doing it for people's applause, for fame, notoriety. Hey, this is going to make me look good. It was about honoring God. When you have the right motives, God will take your slingshot and cause you to defeat a giant. He'll open doors you couldn't open. He'll cause you to look good, to be honored, to be admired. You weren't seeking that, trying to impress, trying to outperform. You were seeking the kingdom. My question today, how much pressure are you putting on yourself trying to prove, trying to measure up, trying to get validation? This can be a new day. You can go out of here much lighter. You have nothing to prove. You don't have to keep up with everyone. You're not in competition with others. You don't have to perform better for God to approve you. He's already said, you're my beloved son, my beloved daughter, in whom I am well pleased. It wasn't based on what you did or didn't do. It's based on who you are, His child. You're not supposed to live striving, stress, competing. Get off that treadmill. Rest in who God made you to be. Run your race. Focus on your goals and keep the right motives.